Turkey, and so on and so forth. So, like, that whole movement was caused by Kalanga people. And Kalanga people live in Zimbabwe for centuries. We're talking about over 600 years, undisturbed. The Great Zimbabwe Empire, then it falls apart, then the Mutapa Empire and the other ones rise. And then at one point, it becomes Mutapa versus Changamire. The Portuguese then end up having such a good relationship with Mutapa that they end up living in Zimbabwe. They live by the Tete district there up there. And they used to have one of my greatest achievements by Mambo. He destroys because they had a theme park at one point, like a fair. Yeah. And Mambo raided their fair and unalived so many women and children there. That's what kicks the Portuguese out of Zimbabwe finally. They live forever. But then the problem is they live. Again, I once mentioned this, that the Portuguese, unlike Burus, unlike British or whatever, Portuguese men loved black women. Oh my God, they loved a black nyash. So everywhere you go, wherever you see their history of colonization, they leave children. Go to Brazil, like mulatas, everywhere. Yeah. They leave children everywhere because they just loved a black woman. I don't know what it is. They tested it and they went black and they couldn't go back. So then what they do, they leave a lot of their children in Zimbabwe, owning the plantations and using our people to work as slaves. Our people were working as slaves for them. And these people are there today. I once mentioned this, that when I was teaching Joshua Maponga, I taught Joshua Maponga history and Benson. And when I was teaching them history, they used to argue and shout at a guy called Uncle Signoro. And I didn't understand until I learned my history very well, because they didn't. Yes. Do you get it, Sargano?
So let me ask the question, then you explain covering that.
Yeah.
Because you, unlike me, I actually prefer the Mutapa state than the Roche. Because in as much as, yes, Dombo fought the Portuguese, but we also have in their totem a trail of history of them intermarrying with the Portuguese. This is why we see still have Vana Signor, Vairamo, because these were.
Wait, but didn't he just take it to Vanamoyo where there were many of them? They don't come from there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up, so that he covers that and probably dismisses my claim.
All right.
No, I like the point, Sandy. I like the point, Sarungano, but I like how you responded, Sandy.
I'm trying to check if I'm paying attention.
Yeah, we need to move quick, guys, with the brain. Yeah? Let's think fast. So, yes, it was a great question, Sarungano. And the Mutapa Empire has been over-glorified. Do you understand? Just like we could say the Zulu Empire to some extent was over-glorified by the colonizers for particular reasons. I'll explain why the Zulu Empire was over-glorified later, but the Mutapa Empire, of course, was glorified because it aligned itself with the West, and Changamire Dombo was fighting it. So I think when I was talking about Signoro, you picked it up. So you got that one right, because of course they leave their children, and their children become the plantation owners, and they make us work for them. And what are they called? Signoros. Yeah. And because, in Portuguese, when you say sir, you say signore.
Senor. So, Signoro, are they only in Mashona in the Mozambique then?
You find a lot of them in Mashonaland, east and north, and in Mozambique, a lot of them. You can see even that Signoro. The one I'm talking, Uncle Snor. You could tell by his nose, man. That's a Portuguese nose, my brother.
And these are also the people who left us those, what do you say it? Those Machira or what? Those Amalembo. Those ancestral clothes now that people claim these are our ancestors. You must buy a clothes, you must buy a clothes. Because they came never Portuguese auntie.
Yes, you're right. And a lot of things came with the Portuguese. Tomatoes, corn, maize.
What your father's Sandis.
Maize as well.
that traditional fabric, the red, black, and white. It's borrowed from the Portuguese.
Yeah, it's just not a copy of the original plant of.
So it is not like tomatoes.
Can you imagine? They are all borrowed plants. And we make them our staple food because if you look at maize the white one is not the original one.
That maize, I knew about maize. I didn't know about tomatoes.
Yeah, tomatoes is actually an import in our country.
Wow. Yeah, that's why it's called, we call it matamati.
If I'm not mistaken. Tomatoes, apples, kibage. There's other things that came with the Portuguese that we eat today. We call them staples of Africa, which are not actually original.
Wow.
They're actually migrants. They are illegal. They are aliens in our country.
Yes.
What about small grains? Small grains,
Someone says
no, we had wheat, sorghum, and millet. That's what we ate.
Have you watched the video Yalin for YouTube where cakes?
Lynn who, sorry?
She talks about like African stuff. I sent you the video. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Basically, she talks about like what you're talking about right now, where a lot of food that we are eating, such as the maize and stuff, they used to use that in Brazil, like you're saying, and then it got taken to Zimbabwe. In Brazil, they'll use it to feed the cows, but then they used it in Zimbabwe for us, and then we turned it into maize meal. And then battlefield. Yeah, and stuff like that, basically. So it's like what you're saying. That's just coincides with the long video I watched. It's about an hour long video of
Can you
each.
send it to me too, please?
Yeah, it's basically she went down different African cultural food. Even went to Nigeria, Fatima yams. They're not originally from there. Everything that we think is like this is our thing, then actually, darling, it's really not. So yeah, thanks.
That's why I had an argument on the Intercape bus once when I was going home. Everyone was quiet. Then I don't know what happened that day. I think people were happy. It ended up in a big argument, but I was sitting with my girlfriend at the back. And the people at the front were arguing. So, you know me, I like history. So I pick up on the subject. The argument is, do we call it this Chala or Saja? Now you got the very guy going, the problem with you, Amashona, is you want to call everything in your name. The fruit you get to see this. No. And it's going on. So then I get up and I walk over to the guy and I said, it's all right. It was a lively argument. I mean, we debated till we got to the border. But I said to him, no, it's not Shona supremacy. He said, no, I'm Shona, you want us to? I said, no, my brother, it should always be Sata. Yeah, because we learned it from them. You understand? Yeah. They are the ones. It's just like how Lobola will always be Lobola. You know, when you shonify, you say, you know, but you understand? No. Yeah. My great Lobola wedding, Lobola, because it's always going to be Lobola because it was a Nguni, like a huge Nguni thing, Nguni tradition. Like Ngunis were really big on it. Not only that, Nguni kept cattle as their economy. It was their money, and there was no other, you know, it was sort of like their prime source of economy, source of wealth. Whereas the people on the northern border, whether Kalanga, whatever you want to call them, they were great farmers. That's why when the Portuguese brought these things to them, they were very keen on taking them on. And corn is an enemy of Africa. In the manifesto we wrote, we said we need to move from corn as a staple food. Corn is a problem, has always been a problem. The wars between Zwide and Utingasagam Tetwa, it was again caused by corn. What corn does, it kills the soil. And it causes a lot of droughts. So when the Portuguese brought it, we loved it. We were like, oh my God, what is this magic fruit? Because one, you can feed the chickens with it. You can do anything. You can be fertilized. It was just too much things you could do with it. We all started farming it, and it grows very quick and in large quantities, but it kills the soil. And this led us to the droughts that lead to Zwide. The culmination of these droughts is when Zwide and Shaka fight and Zeligas is involved. But before Impi, Yenkanyamba, Ngati Impi Elembe, no Zwide, before that war, we have people in Africa becoming Amazim, what you call what do you call it in English? Cannibals. Yeah, that's the word. That lack of corn, that corn being introduced to Southern Africa, creates a society of is cannibalism. Yes, where people who were eating human beings. For example, Mushosha's grandfather was ate by these people. They captured him and they ate him alive when he was walking on his way to the mountain where the Lesotho is today. On the way to create the Lesotho kingdom, Mushosha's father is ate in the back because he was in an entourage. So there's a word for it, where you're traveling up a slope. So he was at the back because the old people were at the back because they couldn't walk so fast. He gets caught by these men and they chew him alive. And Mushosha later on cures this disease of eating people. Shaka fights Inkosi Yamabele over this issue of eating people. This issue of eating people went on for so long, but again, it's being caused by corn. Yeah. So we must rethink our love for men.
You said these cannibalists were called Zim.
They were called Amazim.
So there are people in South Africa who have that last name.
No, the last name, if you want to find them directly, because I taught in a South African panel about this, and one of the family members was there, and he was like, Cakes, I know you are really a true historian, because I know this is my family, and it's been spoken about in my family before. The surnames are Ontuli. Yeah, Ontuli, Opele. To some extent, Okanda, but Gatas of South Africa, not the ones in Zimbabwe. Yeah. And some may argue that
akabva nevanhu first marriage akasiyana nemukadzi whether akafirwa kana vakarambana ava kuma-40 kana kuma-50 years handiti then poita mukadzi anenge akabvawo mufirst marriage kana second marriage ane vana avawo kuma-40s waakusangana nemunhu rume wakuti ndovana iwe pamwe munhukadzi waizvava nemaoperation kana kuti waakutongonzwa wega pamwe pacho iko zvinezvi vanhu vakukurumidza kuenda kumira kugeza vanhukadzi nenyaya yezvikafu izvi munhu anenge asingachatokwanisi hapana munhu paangazoita mimba asingachateveri
ende mene
zvachinzwa ipo papo matsinzwa inini kanuka pamunodanana nemunhu wenyu handitika handiri munotaurirana ndiri ninini kana zvisingatoitika ndotokutaura kuti hashamwari ka ndingakuroribe kuvhurenda kubvisa mari yangu ndikogogoi ndinini ndine munhu pasina mwana ipo papo ndinenge ndiri
ndachitaura wani uri munhu ukataura muchitanga kusangana ndinotokuudza kuti inini handichazvari kana kuti handichadi zvekuita vana kana zvisingachatoiti tokusiyana ipapo what more hauna kutaura iwewe kuti inini ndichada vana tatova mumba takutogara tese
unomuita
ndomuita hawo
unototi utomuita nekutoti nini chanendibenefiti yangu iri papi benefiti yangu iri papi ndo pandaenda korora kumba kwenyu wabereki wenyu wodya mari yangu inini manje handisina benefiti
Saka muri mwana ibenefit here naye varume. Mwana ibenefit yei, anokubenefita chii?
Guys, une wakudza dzinza rangu
benefit iripo ka ndekuti wakudza dzinza rangu ka.
Kukudza dzinza iwachembera here. Izvaika guys. Regai tionesane imwe nyaya ndoda kuti munditsanangurire tinzwisisane.
Imi munomboziva kuti isusu vanhu kupfeka pasina mwana hatimbonyatsouzwa kangwaru.
Mukoma hoyo. Zvamukutaura zvekutanzi kana usina mwana hauna chiremererezvo hazvishande. Why? Because upenyu hwati kutaura nezvawo panapa ndiye hwenyu imimi tisati tatarisa mhuri. Pamwe pacho vatiri kutarisa mhuri, vanhu vatiri kutaura kuti dzimwe nguva vana vanenge vavasasasi necessary. Makore aya munenge matoita vana chero kusango nemusikanzwa nenei mune mato munhu akapindana nazvo zvese zvinhu izvozvo. Mamunhu akutoda zvekusetla for good life yekuti uwanewo munhu anokubikirawo achita take care of you. Vana vako unenge unavo pamwe pacho usati watopedza kuvachengeta. Kana uri mufirst marriage zvinoshanda kuti uti ndoda vana vakati wandei 4 kana 5. Ukaramba uri mufirst marriage zvinoshanda because makore ekushandidzana nekushandira vana anenge aripo. Kwete kuti uri kupinda musecond marriage yakabhurekeka wakuma 35 40 years. Uri kuramba uchiti ndoda kukwidza mwana nekuti anobatanidza ukama anzi family inozoti chi. Family ipi? Because family inotanga pauri wewe ndiwe muridzi wemhuri yatiri kutaura nezvazvo. Uchashandira mwana ye aende kuchikoro.